Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Death Row History Channel. I am your host, Mr. Toad, and this video will be part 3 in our series on the New York Death Commission. Again, I will issue the warning that if you have a weak constitution, this video may not be for you, or watch it in segments. I have got comments about the last video being a little too graphic. Well, this is not a commission for the those with weak constitutions. Okay, so in the first video we covered the history, we covered the people, Mr. Jerry, Mr. Hale, Mr. Southwick. In the second video we covered the methods, and boy were there some doozies. But tonight we will cover the deliberations and the conclusion. No, this is not the end of the commission. But the thing is, they reconvened in 1888. I will cover that in the next video, which will probably be stretched into at least 2 videos. So 6 instead of, or 5 instead of 4. But when I'm done, it will make sense, folks. Okay, deliberations. As we know, I went over the list of 34 methods of execution. And essentially, the best way I can sum it up is, they took every method that was used in history and said, let's try it. Now, the commission, the first on the chopping block, as far as notes go, was beheading. It says in Japan, the prisoner's arms were pinioned behind his back. He raised a weak, quavering voice to the highest pitch, screamed out, "My friends!" And then ultimately the executioner did his job. They went from there to burning. Again, if you have a weak constitution, watch this in segments. Burning, an extraordinary method of this punishment, was known as the illuminated body. It was invented by Sefi II of the Shah of Persia. The victim was stretched out on a slab, fastened to it. Innumerable little holes were bored through his body. He was then filled with oil and lit on fire. Yeah, no. That they're trying to find an alternative to hanging that is still humane. That is not humane under any definition. However, some were a little more just odd all around. It says some methods are so bizarre that they seem almost risible, at least at a far removed time and distance. The commission studied the method of execution called blowing from a cannon. Now, there are 2 ways you can perform this. Number 1, you can, and it was used in East India by the sepoys. So, number 1, you can be latched to the mouth of the cannon And then within 2 seconds, as soon as they pull the cord or whatever, you're blown into 10,000 atoms. You get hit with a cannonball, you're done. But the other way was the condemned would be the projectile. You just put him in the cannon, light it, boom. You now have a painting on the side of the wall of the prison. Yeah, I don't see that. Again, that just makes me scratch my head. One of the other methods that was debated comes from the Bible, a Bible passage. And that was pounding in a mortar. In Proverbs 27:22, the Bible reads, Though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar among wheat with a pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. Okay then. That's where that idea come from. So, one of the commission members said, hey, let's use this. Yeah. The problem with it was, they could not figure out how to carry it out. Like, how would it work? Would you put the person in a large mortar and then use an even bigger pestle to crush them? Or how would you do it? Much like, and for those that are still wondering what a mortar and pestle is, think what you use to make, it says here, what you use to make a mint julep. You put mint leaves in the mortar, you pound them to let out the fragrances, except in this case, instead of mint leaves, it's a human. But after much deliberation, you had the jury commission was a big commission. On one side of the table, you may have people that wanted dismemberment and flaying. Whereas on the other side of the table, you might have people wanting the guillotine, strangulation, and stuff like that. And then in the back of the room, you have the people that want to see someone splattered on the side of the wall of a prison. Yeah. You cannot make everybody happy. However, some methods were immediately thrown out. Boiling, crucifixion, throwing from a cliff. Yeah, they were immediately out the door. While they may have offered a impressive deterrent factor, they did not meet the commission's objectives, which was speediness, humaneness, and efficiency. So, at the end of the commission, they sent out a report that said, Your commission have examined with care the accounts which exist of the various curious modes of capital punishment that have been used. The result is that none of these can be considered as embodying suggestions of improvement over that now in use in this state. Which means after all of that, they still couldn't pick a replacement. And there were, I've seen documentaries and documents and stuff where they talk about the fact that they had a top three. The three that they would have chose, the top three, was the garrote, the guillotine, and a primitive form of lethal injection. The garrote was thrown out because, obviously, it's not as... It didn't fit the qualifications. The guillotine was thrown out because it reminded people in the jury commission too much of the French Revolution. So, it was connected with that. The most trivial was lethal injection, or the primitive form of lethal injection, which was thrown out because they did not want to tarnish the reputation of a new invention, the hypodermic syringe. My, how times have changed. But, so, at the end of 1887, New York went back to hanging. They just said, you know what, we're good. However, they would reconvene in 1888. And, you know, at that point, if you're on death row in New York, you're breathing a sigh of relief, because you're not going to get boiled alive. You're not going to get smashed to death in by a mortar and pestle. You're not going to be a painting on the side of the prison. You're not going to be thrown to a lion. I mean, you're good. You're living high because you're at least a little more relaxed than you were, because you're not, yeah. But they weren't done. And so they would reconvene about a year later. And at that point, they would start to examine another method that was not suggested at that time. It would be Dr. Southwick who suggested it because of something he had seen in the interim between commissions. And we will get to that in the next video. As I said, it may end up being a 5-part series because there's a lot of history on the method that they chose, which we all know what it is. If you know the New York Death Commission, you can find out easily what the method is. But there is a lot of history behind it that people don't know about. And so we will cover that in the next video. Until then, this is Mr. Toad with the Death Row History Channel. Your one and only source for all things history when it comes to the death penalty. Saying, I'm gone.